Hi guys, what's up? I'm Mary Richardson. I help professionals and entrepreneurs to get past the things that keep them stuck, whether that's anxiety, stress, trauma, unwanted bad habits like procrastination, even smoking, so that you can be the best version of yourself. In this video, I'm going to talk about depersonalization, derealization, what they are, and how you can get back, or maybe even for the first time, start feeling normal, better, instead of responding to anxiety this way. All right, let's jump in. So depersonalization, derealization, otherwise known as DPDR. They are a response to anxiety, stress, even can be caused by a lack of sleep, by or being overstimulated in your environment. When you experience, and it can actually have no apparent triggers. So you may be slightly stressed or something may have upset you, but you can't even pinpoint a trigger. That's actually possible as well. So sometimes the triggers are obvious, sometimes they're not. But what you may be experiencing is a feeling of out of body, that's depersonalization, or a feeling that the world is way outside yourself, and that's derealization, as if there's a piece of glass between you and the rest of the world, and you're sort of looking at it from behind this glass. If you think about how amazing your brain is, our brains are so amazing. Everybody's brain, its job is to keep us alive on the planet. So when something is so traumatic or anxiety ridden or stressful or overwhelming emotionally, our brain has this brilliant coping mechanism to help us sort of jump back out of our body, or feel like the world is on the other side of a piece of glass, so that we are somehow protected. So that's the brilliant side of it. The downside of it is that unless you learn to certain coping techniques, because you can overcome it 100%. It is not schizophrenia. Schizophrenia is where a person doesn't know the difference between what they're seeing and reality. A person with DPDR knows what is real. They're still able to move their arms and legs, even if you have that feeling you're not in your body, still able to move your limbs, you're aware of your thoughts. You know what is real and what isn't real. So take a deep breath. Of course, I'm not a medical doctor. This doesn't replace seeing a medical doctor. This is for informational purposes only. But DPDR, you can really get back to feeling normal because it's just a response to anxiety, strong anxiety. And it also, if you've ever witnessed domestic violence, trauma, it can be a response to that, especially if that trauma is ongoing, persistent, or really overwhelming for you. So that can be a trigger. So what recovery looks like is that you're aware of when it happens. That's always the first step, is being aware that you are now feeling like, let's take depersonalization. You feel as if you're looking at a world through a fragmented sort of objectivity, as if you're up here or around yourself. You might even feel like you're looking down at yourself from above, where you don't really feel you're in your body, and that's sort of an out-of-body experience kind of feeling. So this fragmented sense of consciousness can actually deepen anxiety and depression. Research has shown. So yes, anxiety caused it, but then experiencing it can also keep the anxiety going. So how recovery, what it looks like in overcoming it, is that being aware that you're doing it, and being aware that if you can pinpoint a trigger, that's always helpful, so that you know if you just saw something traumatic, a car wreck or crash, you know that could happen for you. You could feel that depersonalization. Then you can also be aware of things you can do to stay grounded. Staying grounded is extremely important in overcoming DPDR. what do I mean by grounding? Grounding is where if you can imagine staying rooted in the present moment. And a technique you might do, there are several I'm going to give you in this video. You can imagine holding something very, very cold in your hand, like an ice cube, the outside of a cold drink, or something that's sort of will snap you back to reality, not reality, but snap you back into the present, to what's going on right now. So you're not outside looking at yourself, you're definitely grounded. So holding that piece of ice can bring you back into your body, a sense of back in your body. Also, if you can, when you're experiencing this disturbing, it can be disturbing because you might feel like you're going crazy. And more than likely you're not, because over 50% of the population is estimated experiences dissociation, which is another way of describing this phenomenon. So if you can imagine you are feeling sort of hovering above yourself, around yourself, you grab an ice cube, you hold it, that pulls you back. You can also focus on your breath. I like to call it peace and anxiety. So you imagine breathing in peace and breathing out anxiety. Breathing in peace and breathing out anxiety. So you can't be in two places at once, focusing on worrying about the past or something else, those what if thoughts, and focusing on your breath. You can't do both at the same time. So when you focus on your breath, it brings you right back and gives you something to do so that you stay grounded in your body. The ice cube, same thing. You can also look around your environment and start counting objects or naming things that you see. That can keep you very grounded. You can also look for, I call it the ABCs. So look for objects that start with A, objects that start with B, objects that start with C. And if that's too complicated in the moment, just think of ABC. Name something that starts with A, apple. Something that starts with B, boy. Something that starts with C, whatever it is. All right, so ABCs. So whatever you can do in the moment, that will get your brain back in tune with, I've got to stay here, planted, rooted, grounded, so I can get through this moment. The next thing you can do to overcome DPDR is not fight it. Because when you deny it's happening, when you're scared of it or afraid that it's going to happen, when you are anxious that it's going to happen, it makes it worse. So stop fighting it and dreading it happening. Use these coping skills, because if it happens, you can say, if it happens, I'm going to do the ABCs, name something that starts with A, B, C, all the way through the alphabet. So after 26 letters, you're going to be pretty grounded and rooted in your present moment. So when you employ these techniques, they will help you get through these moments. And over time, you'll stop depersonalizing. You'll stop pulling yourself back from whatever trigger it was. Another thing that you can do is, in addition to not fighting it, is allow yourself to just experience that this is what you're experiencing in this time in your life. This is the difficulty or challenge you're experiencing in this point in your life, and not deny it. Just say, look, this is something I'm going through. I'm going to overcome it. I'm going to use these grounding techniques to keep going and to pull myself back into my body so I feel rooted and grounded. So it's really, really important to give yourself space to not be perfect. In other words, instead of saying, I don't want to deal with it, I'm just going to deny it's happening, which almost always never helps, because it's like denying you have anxiety. I mean, let's just call it what it is. It's a severe coping mechanism to anxiety, and you can just change how you cope with anxiety over time by practicing these grounding techniques. So let's review really quickly. DPDR, depersonalization, derealization, is where you feel that you're outside of your body. It's response to anxiety triggers such as witnessing domestic violence, trauma from your past, trauma now, past narcissistic relationship, whatever trauma would be disturbing for you. And there can be no apparent triggers. You might just depersonalize. And I think that, my opinion, of course I'm not a doctor, but in my opinion, it can be a habit of dealing with anything in your life that's uncomfortable. So that might explain why there's no triggers. You might just do it because you've been doing it for so long. The idea is to stay grounded. So an ice cube in your hand, practice the naming things that start with A, B, C, and on through the alphabet. Also allowing and acknowledging that this is something you're going through right now and that you're going to overcome it. And also super, super important to acknowledge you may not be going crazy. Of course, schizophrenia is very, very different. Schizophrenics don't often, again, I'm not a medical doctor, but just common everyday knowledge, a reasonable person knows that a schizophrenic cannot differentiate between what is real and what is not real. So if you're experiencing dissociating, another name for depersonalization, derealization, if you're experiencing these things, you know what is real and what is not real. Those what if thoughts can also be a trigger, I believe, because those what if thoughts in your mind can really trigger your anxiety. And anxiety response is DPDR. All right. Remember, lack of sleep, overstimulation in your environment, that can trigger it as well. Neglect as a child, that can be a trigger for you as an adult. So the natural ability is to just deny it's happening. It's better to deal with it, get past it, and be the best version of yourself. Understand that it's not permanent. That's another thing. Most people that experience DPDR are not going crazy, and it can be upsetting that you're going through this, but it's not permanent and you can certainly overcome it. I hope this video finds you well. I'll see you in the next video. I'm Mary Kay Richardson. I help professionals and entrepreneurs to get past those things that are keeping them stuck, whether it's strong anxiety, self-doubt, procrastination, unwanted habits. I help you get past that so you can be the best version of yourself. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.